is going on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub, and this is K-Dub's High Five. 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today, friends, we got one of the Twitter hobby favorites. He is a collector. He is an influencer. He is a Twitter personality. My good friend, Derry, aka at Derry Resvani on Twitter. How are you doing today, my man?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I so appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's a dream come true to see those long walks on this screen, man. It's a long time coming. So
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I don't have much to do during the day, so anytime someone's willing to chat with me, I'm willing to do it.
beautiful, man. Well, how it works, I'm going to throw 5 rapid fire questions at you, one right after another, all hobby related. Ready to take on the high five?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, man. First question. I don't know a lot about your collecting journey. So how did you get into sports cards? Kind of where did that start? Where did that begin? And, how did it start for you?
Yeah, so my collecting journey actually started with Pokemon cards, which I think like any 90s kid can kind of relate to. I was like chasing the Charizard like everyone could never get it. Then honestly was it Sandlot? I want to say it was Sandlot, but basically I wanted a baseball card in my spoke tires in my bike.
Perfect.
That's like that was like the moment. And because my mom like collected when she was a kid. My grandpa collected like coins and stuff along those lines, but she was like, yeah, what you do is you get a baseball card and you put in your spokes or whatever. And that was right around the time I was joining Little League. And then of course at that point it was like Ichiro and Albert Pujols, so it was pretty easy for a kid to get into collecting when you had the names that we did growing up. And so that was really what sparked it all. And then unfortunately in college I ended up getting my collection stolen.
Oh man.
And so and then obviously college, you don't have money, you're first year's out, you're trying to get a job, blah blah blah. So collecting just really wasn't in the cards. No pun intended.
Gotcha.
At that point. And then obviously COVID happened, and all of a sudden I'm reading comics again, and I'm ripping tops, and now all of a sudden I can't open up my closet without stuff falling out.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned the spoke tires, because I always think about like dudes in the 50s and 60s, what cards they threw in their spoke tires. What cards were wrecked that probably would be pretty valuable today, but.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you've seen all the vintage ones with like mustaches grown on or drawn on them and stuff like that.
Absolutely, and I'm sure other items drawn on there as well, because we know how guys are. So, all right, man. Second question. You kind of mentioned your mom a little bit, your grandfather there collecting coins. Who would you say have been some of your biggest influences when it comes to maybe getting back into the hobby? As you said, kind of going into the pandemic, who do you say kind of influenced you a little bit in your journey there?
Oh man. I guess that would be a couple of my local buddies, because so I'm not going to lie, like I wasn't paying attention to the whole card market. Cause like when COVID happened, I own a auto repair shop. So I had my own, list of concerns. I wasn't too worried about, collecting cards and stuff like that. So I was pretty worried about, just if I was still gonna have a business and things along those lines. And then one of my buddies was like, hey man, cards are like super popular right now. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing, to use my language. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. During a pandemic, I'm like, no one knows where the next dollar is gonna come from. And then, and just everything ended up, it was just a weird point in time. And I was like, you know what? Let's start getting cards. And luckily, I've had a good relationship with my local hobby shop. But, like I would still rip cards, nothing like I do now, but I would go in there, and so I knew him. So we never really had that problem of getting like NBA Prizm or anything like that. Like he would come, we would go. He's like, yeah, we're stocked up. We'd get that, and so yeah, I mean, to get back in it, I'd say it was a couple of my close friends, Ben West, and my buddy Mike. Because that was pretty much during the pandemic what we were able to do. Like that was the only thing we could do to hang out.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how I don't know. It's just fascinating how the pandemic heightened the interest again in sports cards. It was almost a perfect storm, but like you said, it gave people something to do as they couldn't do anything. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. What's the card shop, your local card shop there? We'll give them a shout out.
Webster's. I've posted pictures of it on Twitter before. It's just funny because you wouldn't even think that there's anything in there, and it's like the best shop in Fresno. You won't find cheaper hobby boxes than him.
Well, you know, those are the best ones, man. The hidden gems.
Yep.
Oh, all right, man. Well, let's talk about the cards. Is there a Grail card out there for you that you've always wanted but never got, or maybe you've got it and it's going to stay in your collection forever? And then what makes that the Grail for you?
Yeah, so my true PC is, like I mentioned, Albert Pujols and Ichiro.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I did have the card at my Grail at one point, and that is the Bowman Albert Pujols rookie autograph numbered to 500.
Okay.
It was a redemption in the Bowman set that year, and I had it, but it got stolen. And now, unfortunately, with the prices of cards, so I think I bought that card it was the biggest purchase I'd ever made. I think I spent $1,000 on it with like my graduation money.
Yeah.
And that got stolen, and now I think like I almost bought a raw one, but it's hard because, you know, if one of those is raw nowadays, it's like, okay, why is it raw?
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
And so, you know, PSA 9 is on PWCC right now for $19K. And so it's just, you know, it's tough. It's tough when you get and it, you know, I have a lot of high-end cards, but they're ultimately to sell. And so it's hard. I'm not someone in a financial position to have a $20,000 toy.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where it gets a little tricky. But yeah, ultimately, you know, hopefully one day I'll have one of those again.
So what makes Pujols the guy for you?
Undisputed GOAT, in my opinion.
Okay.
You know, I think it's easy for, you know, bias with like Trout just for recent, like because of how recent it is and stuff like that. But if you look at the first 11 years of Albert Pujols' career, I think, you know, between MVPs, OPS, I mean, he's 11th on the all-time hits list, 6th or 7th to all-time home runs list, career batting average of 296, and that includes his time on the Angels. Yeah, you know, just we're never going to see someone with a career like that again. And I think that his stuff is actually pretty interesting because even as expensive as it is, I think if you compare it to other people, in my opinion, he's the best long-term. Like if you're looking for something to throw into a safe for 40 years, like I think that once this stuff becomes like modern vintage, I think that history will look very kindly on him.
For sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. Well, let's talk about the product, the cards. You said you like to rip a little Prizm there. I know you enjoy your Prizm. But all the money in the world, you can rip one product. What product are you ripping and why?
See, that's hard because I wouldn't need all the money in the world. I love Stadium Club. That is my number one. Like I know it's lighting money on fire, but there is no card. There's not a better quality control card that Topps puts out. And then on top of it, it has the best photography. Yep. And then on top of it, there are legitimately rare, like, you know, you have the press proofs, you have the members only stamps. And then if you look at Stadium Club Chrome, you know, you have the refractors that are ultimately like one of the rarest cards you can get. And yeah, I mean, like if I'm talking about a card that is aesthetically pleasing, like I have no problem getting skunked on Stadium Club because even if they're players I don't care about, like I can look at those and be happy. That's my favorite all time, you know, but if money's no object, then flawless. But
yeah, I guess if money is no object, you could rip a whole heck of a lot of Stadium Club, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could probably buy out the entire print run to be honest. So.
All right, man. Well, I got one more question for you. Yep. Obviously, you're a big personality on Twitter. You got a great following on there. Your content is very fun. How would you say that kind of social media, the increase of use of social media in our world today, has kind of benefited the hobby as a whole?
I think it's exposure. I want to say it's a net benefit. I do. Obviously, it's easy to get caught up in like the kind of pedantic, you know, nitpicking that individuals like do. That's just, you know, that's just life. But ultimately, I think it's cool. It's crossover stuff because, and I think my account is like probably a pretty good like study, or not study, but case of this.
Yeah.
You know, because like I was a political account.
Mm.
That's the whole reason I had it, is because I was running for office.
Okay.
And then ultimately lost, and then but I still had the account as my personal.
Gotcha.
And once I started getting into cards, it was interesting because then I had, you know, people who I had become friends with from my political life, who were like, oh yeah, like I happen to collect cards. Like my friend Eric, he I had followed him for, I don't know, over a year. And then, you know, started posting pictures of my cards and stuff. And he reached out. He's like, hey, I didn't know that there were other people like in this realm that collected.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and then my buddy Micah actually, and his is funny because so that my buddy Micah, who um from Connecticut, uh, but he was like, oh yeah, I collect, and this dude has like the largest Rajon Rondo collection. Oh, hey, one of the largest like Rondo collections, and then has like all sorts of Chris Paul RPAs and
Oh,
stuff, like,
wow.
you know, just stuff like because everyone collected, right? Legitimately
Absolutely. Yeah.
collected, you
Yep.
know, and so yeah,
Now it's in the boxes. Yeah.
yeah, I think he has like 42 out of 99 of the Rajon Rondo, like upper deck, like RPA and stuff like
Oh,
that.
wow.
It's just funny because you don't expect, and then he has two of the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, was it
Nick
Irving?
Irving.
Irving cards and stuff like that. And
Okay.
it's just like, yeah, yeah, no, and he's like, yeah, man, this is all just in my closet, like just
Wow.
literally stuff like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I think I think that it's a net benefit, because also I think it's kind of okay to be a nerd now.
Yeah.
Like I think actually TikTok has done, and I'm not necessarily the biggest TikTok fan, but I
Hmm.
think TikTok has done a really good job, because there's always like, it's like celebrated to be a nerd. You
Yeah.
know, like these
Yeah.
are like, you know, like I have all my Dragon Ball Z action figures and stuff. You know, I'm gonna turn 32 this year, you know, and like my GameStop bill has never been bigger bigger in my life. Uh, and so
Oh,
I think it's just a matter of like kind of normalizing, and people being okay with, you know, what I, I think our generation is significantly different than the older ones, right?
sure.
You know, I think that our generation has pretty much refused to grow up, and
Mm.
social media has kind of allowed that.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I love it. I love it. I love how, like you said, it kind of connects us. You know, I mean, I've networked with so many teachers who also collect as well,
yep,
and I wouldn't have necessarily had those connections in cards or the education piece. And so, kind of like
right,
that crossover piece that you were talking about. I love it. All right,
yep,
man. One more bonus here, man.
yes.
You set the Twitter on fire with the John Cena color glass 10K. Can you just, like, for people who are not familiar with the events that transpired, can you kind of walk me through like what that was like personally for you to kind of have those ups and downs, and then kind of the Twitter piece to it where you kind of have all sides coming at you? You know, what was
Yeah.
that like for you?
So it sucks because so here's the thing, like I'm very naive. Like I literally just enjoy things, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm a huge WWE fan. Like it was the first set of Prizm coming out. I think they're only going to have it for 2 years, right? Because
Yeah.
Fanatics already has it.
Mhm.
And so I was like, screw it. Like I had saved money for, I was ultimately saving it for a couple Bowman cases, but then then Prism was coming. I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. So I
Yeah.
got a case and ripped through it and ended up pulling the Color Blast, which I called because I had just ripped one, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll sell a couple. Like, let's make this a little bit cheaper. But I was like, and so I tweeted it. I just said, the problem is if I don't rip it, like there's a John Cena Color Blast in there.
There it is.
And ultimately then ripped it live and pulled it. And I had put it up on eBay. It got because it got so much publicity. Like obviously people started messing with it and stuff along those lines.
Hmm.
Anyways, finally sent it off. I'm holding all of my WWE for 1 year just because I want to see. We've all seen Prism pumps, right?
Right.
Like
Yep.
the second it comes out and stuff like that. But um, I'm ultimately that's a card that if I am stuck with, I'm completely fine being
For
stuck
sure.
with a BGS 10. pop one of a John Cena color blast, right?
Absolutely.
And then on top of it, he's coming back to Raw
Okay.
later this month. He's making a comeback. So
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, obviously like the Twitter part sucked because I'm not like I don't wish any ill will on anyone. Like I talk a little I talk smack on Twitter, but like in a fun way, right? Like I don't
Little.
I'm not actually I don't want anything malicious to happen to anyone. And it just sucked seeing people like literally like vultures waiting for your downfall. And I'm like, damn, bro, I'm just over here like in their sports cards. You know? Like it ain't that serious. So yeah, but no, it was fun. It was a good way to see who the real ones were. I'll put it that way.
Well, I enjoyed the journey. I did not enjoy the turmoil, but it's been fun to see. And obviously, what a card to have from that first year Prizm WWE, and what a fun rip. So, and actually, fun story. I met Cena one time, and he is a very, very nice guy. So
did you? Yeah, I've heard. I don't think I've ever heard anything bad about John Cena. Like he's pretty universally loved and everything. So
it was a great interaction. So, anyways, man, hey, that's all we got. We got a high five at the end. Throw it up. Thanks for joining me. You can follow Derry on Twitter at Derry Rezvani. You can also follow me if you're bored at Mr. K-Dub. Always remember, be the good. Derry, I appreciate the time, my friend.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Let's have it. And
absolutely.
Y'all take care. See you next time on the next High Five.
See ya.
This is a demo sound of freeintromusic.com.